AITA for kicking my friend out of my house even though she has nowhere else to go. My boyfriend 30M and I 28F moved into a fairly large house together last year. When all the COVID thing started getting out of hand, we decided to open up our house to one of our friends 30F and my BF's cousin 19F. The friend who moved in with us, Kate, fake name, lost her job before the pandemic, and 2 months ago with the end of lease she couldn't afford a place to live. My boyfriend and I have a common friend group that we knew since the college days, around 7 years. Kate joined this group 2 years ago. When our friends informed us of her losing her house, we decided, hey, we have free space, come stay with us for a while until you can find a permanent solution. We also covered the food expenses while she helped with the chores. She accepted and moved in within a few days. When she first moved in she was acting friendly with me, but as time progressed she started becoming colder and colder towards me, but was still friendly with my BF. A month ago she started acting weird. While we were watching Netflix she started sitting in between my BF and me, touching or hitting his arm lightly when she was laughing, touching my BF's neck or hair while saying good morning to his ear, or trying to massage him constantly. I didn't know what to do, especially because my boyfriend was not saying anything at the time and I didn't want to be the crazy GF. However, he sat me down a week or so ago and told me he was extremely uncomfortable by the way Kate was behaving. Let me tell you, I was so relieved that I was not the only one who was thinking she was acting strange lol. He said when I'm not around her behavior only increases, and he didn't know what to do because he was scared of telling me this as he thought maybe he was overthinking it. He decided to speak to her if she did it again and went to bed happy. 2 days ago I drove to my parents' house to visit them and help with their needs as they don't go out. I got a text 2 hours into my visit from my BF asking me to come back home urgently. When I returned everyone in the house was yelling and I was very confused lol. When my BF saw me he said that he wanted to talk to Kate about what she has been doing was making him uncomfortable, and apparently she didn't take this well because she said she did this with everyone, and when I took my BF's side more yelling and calling names happened. He told her to get her things and get out. I thought our friends would take our side when we told them about this, but now the whole group is divided. Most of them said yes, she was wrong if she was making us uncomfortable, but that she is just a touchy person, and we were assholes for kicking her out in a pandemic when she had nowhere else to go to. I trust my boyfriend very much as he has been nothing but an honest partner for the past 5 years. He said he decided to talk to her because she kept caressing his arm and touching his thigh and he hated it. So I wanted to ask AITA for kicking her out. NTA, or letting her live in your home for free and she decided to go all home wrecker on you. She wasn't respectful of your relationship. It doesn't matter if you're a touchy person. When someone says stop, that makes me uncomfortable, it needs to stop. No questions asked. I blamed myself because of this a lot. Maybe if I acted more quickly this wouldn't happen. I just didn't want to seem like a crazy person if I was wrong about her intentions. But because of this my BF suffered and I am so apologetic. NTA, a good friend and gracious guest/roommate respects boundaries. He was clearly trying to get between you and your BF. Literally, who sits between spouses or people in relationships? She had a place to stay, rent-free, and she couldn't be respectful. You tried to talk. She freaked out and offered excuses for her behavior. If your friends disagree with you kicking her out, perhaps they could offer her a couch. Talked to them about taking her in before she moved in with us. All of them had personal and quite valid reasons why they couldn't, and we had free space so we offered. I know the ones that disagree with us are in touch with her, but as far as I know none of them offered her a place yet. NTA, she is sensitive is code for she rocks the boat and everyone else needs to work extra hard to steady it. Don't steady the boat. If they think you are jerks, tell them they can take her in. You deserve to not feel uncomfortable in your own home. Beyond that, a core tenet of consent is that the behavior is unwelcome. When told explicitly, the offender needs to back the fuck off, not claim they did nothing wrong. That is how nice guys behave, and apparently Kate does too. We had a huge argument with the friends over this. They thought as long as she apologized, which she didn't because she didn't think she did anything wrong. We shouldn't have kicked her out. We talked to them before she moved in whether someone else can take her in, but they all had valid and personal reasons on why they couldn't. As far as I know, no one offered so far either. NTA saying she is like this with everyone sounds like BS. She doesn't do it to you. She was being flirty and making advances on your BF. I looks like she has a crush and no respect for boundaries or consent, and it was only going to be a matter of time before she tried to take advantage of him. Innocent people are usually apologetic, guilty people throw tantrums and claim to be the victim. Because of the character count I couldn't add this, but she and I were never really close to begin with because of clashing personalities. I am more of a 80-year-old grandma on the inside and she is very live loud type of person. I don't know if she had a crush, but he developing feeling in 2 months seems a little weird to me. So I questioned myself a lot, lol. AITA for screwing my son over in favor of his wife. My adult son Bob is a lazy, arrogant, entitled, abusive, know-it-all. I tried to parent him, but my wife always threatened to divorce me and take all the kids anytime I abused him, lecturing, grounding, taking away privileges. I know I'm not innocent in this, but Bob has turned out insufferable. 8 years ago Bob, then 26, married Beth, 19. They had twins right away, so I gave him a glorified job that he's still doing. Beth got an entry-level position with a couple years later, and she quickly worked her way up. She's indispensable now. 3 years ago I asked her to go to school to learn the technical side of the business. She's doing amazing and will even finish early. Bob didn't want Beth to go to school, but I pressured and bribed to get him to accept. I offered an extra allowance and told him that she could help him run the company after I pass. I might be TA because I lied. I have zero intention of giving him the company. Bluntly, he's incompetent. I've been grooming Beth in the background to succeed me. I'm secretly planning to retire in the next 5 to 6 years after Beth is established. Bob gave up his dream job to stay and work here, which I know is bad. But he was expecting me to fund his career, so am I still the bad guy? Edit. To answer a couple of questions. 1. Bob wanted to be a music producer too. I haven't directly told Beth that I will support her if she leaves, but y'all have convinced me I should. 3. Yes, I've talked to a lawyer. A whole team of them. Legally, he's entitled to nothing. If he fights it, my lawyers are better than his mother's lawyers. NTA Bob sounds painful. The wife should kick him to the curb and run the company herself, lol. If I'm honest, I don't think their marriage will survive if she accepts. But my grandkids will be better off if she's running the company. NTA Bob is a controlling leech. It's almost fitting that he gave up his dream job, which has been, where for the last 8 years, after trying to hold her own career back. Make sure Beth herself knows everything well in advance, and is going to have time to plan and figure out how to handle this. NTA, given the info in your post and the additional information provided in comments, Bob's dream job was daddy should fund his non-existent career as a music producer. You didn't take anything away from him and he didn't give anything up because he didn't have it in the first place. You did give him a job and his wife as well, and you encouraged and promoted the person who made an effort and provided value to your business. Beth is competent and hardworking and raising your grandchildren. You did what you felt was necessary to help the family as a whole, and promoting Bob would ruin the family business. You say you plan to retire and let Beth run the business. Hopefully you also have a plan of succession when eventually you pass on. It's not unusual for a family business to be forced into sale after the death of the original proprietor by partial inheritors demanding cash. And in the case of Beth and Bob, if he is still a part of the business and depending on the state you live in, it sounds like he could force the sale after your death simply by divorcing her and considering the business marital property. Make sure you have a very good attorney for your estate planning and pay close attention to the laws in your state on marriage and inheritance. Bob's dream job was paternal unit should fund his non-existent career as a music producer. Lol, holy shit. Was that actually it? The only thing Up could take away from Bob is the illusion that this was ever going to go anywhere. BRB following my career as a rock star / professional athlete. NTA at all. However, I hope you make sure to check in on the well-being of Beth and your grandchildren as this unfolds. My dad's father set up my mother and me as trustees for his estate over my father, for pretty good reasons, honestly, then told no one but mom and me. Dad only found out when the will was read, and I got to spend part of my last year in college grieving my grandpa while Dad called me up regularly to rant about how he hoped grandpa was burning in hell for setting up the trust. Will presumably be the target for most of Bob's rage, since you're just retiring, but it could be awful for those kids for a while. This is something I hadn't thought about. Maybe I should have a talk to Beth about this before so she's not blindsided and can prepare. I don't mind being a target for him. I'm planning to travel with the grandkids and daughters as much as I can anyway. Wish they were already divorced so she wouldn't have to live with him when he finds out. I think she's waiting for something but I don't know what. We don't talk about their marriage. AITA for saying I won't attend Christmas if my aunt and uncle will be there, resulting in them being uninvited. When I was 17, I got pregnant and my parents kicked me out. My aunt and uncle offered me their guest room, but after a few weeks, they sat me down and said they wanted my baby. I then got a guilt trip of pro-life propaganda, mixed with telling me I couldn't take care of a kid, and that they let me live with them for free, and basically said that I should give them my kid because of all this. I said yes, because I was worried they'd kick me out if I said no. I sat my A-levels, and when my student loan came through, I just left and went to my chosen uni, a few hours away. I was about 7 months pregnant at the time. I tried to talk to them about it, but they wouldn't listen, so I wrote them a letter instead. By the time I arrived, I had a ton of messages from them, upset with / mad at me for how I handled things. I got a job, gave birth, and ended up delaying uni, but I ultimately got my degree and my daughter and I came out the other side of it. I went straight from uni to a career, all based in this town a few hours from my hometown. In this time I had in-person contact with my younger siblings, who have met my daughter, but this has only been a couple of times a year, and I have fairly regular phone calls with my grandparents, who have never met my daughter in person. I went back to my hometown once, 3 years ago, for my father's funeral, without my daughter, and I ended up getting into drama with both my mother and my aunt/uncle, and I've not been back since, despite my siblings and grandparents encouraging me to come. My daughter is turning 7 this month. Nan said that I have to come see them this Christmas. I hesitated, and Nan asked what the issue is. I explained that I was worried I'd run into my mother, uncle, or aunt. Nan said that mum hasn't been invited to Christmas since she kicked me out, and that if my aunt and uncle were an issue, she'd uninvite them, too, as she wants to see both me and my daughter at Christmas. I said if that's how she feels then I'll do my best for us to be there. However, in the few days since that phone call with Nan, all hell has broken loose. My aunt and uncle have contacted me and said that I'm a being petty, vindictive bitch for getting them uninvited from Christmas, and my cousin, their daughter, sides with them, saying I'm being a cunt for being upset with them nearly 8 years later and using my daughter's status as the only great-grandchild and the only relative my grandparents have never met as a bargaining chip to get my way. My siblings are torn between feeling that I should be allowed to state my feelings and that it was Nan's choice to uninvite them, and saying that I could have just left it alone and trusted that if there was an issue people would intervene before it got ugly, and that I should tell Nan to re-invite them and apologize to them for getting them temporarily booted. AITA?